live! Hello everyone in the chat. Can you please comment if you can hear us, because normally these streams go horribly wrong. They're just saying that they're lying to us and we're late at the moment. So, anybody, please. Hey, okay, looks like we're live. Hello everyone. Cool, right. Welcome to the stream. This is going to be our second Uni Q&A live stream where we have I'm going to be answering your questions about university life and what it's like to be a student and fresher stuff and all that. But I'm not going to be alone. I'm joined by some of the finest student YouTubers on the internet. As well as those, Jake Wright is here. He is the curator of the most popular Time Hop channel on YouTube at the moment, where he shows you his life from 6 months ago. Jake did computer science at Cambridge and is now working as a graduate in London. Do you want to say hello, Jake?
Hi, guys. Yes, so I'm a little bit behind with my videos, but I am a computer science graduate from Queen's. I'm now working as a software developer for Graze, the snack company.
And when's that cooking channel coming out? We were talking about this before we launched about your cooking series. Sorry, Lucy, this is going to be a whole education for you. There's a lot of history.
I love it. Graze is great. 10 out of 10. Like.
Okay, so we may as well introduce you next then. So I'm very, very happy to introduce Lucy. Thank you to everyone on Twitter who recommended that Lucy was the student to ask to come on this. I asked people, student YouTubers, and everyone said your name. So you're doing history at SOAS. Is that School of Oriental and African Studies?
That's the one, yeah. We call it SOAS just because it's easier. But yeah, it's SOAS. I do history. I basically do modern India at the moment, and I'm in my third year. And yeah, I've done a bit of Ghana, and I've done a bit of the Middle East. So I've got it all.
Awesome stuff. So I love listening to people who do history stuff, and they specialize in stuff way earlier than people who do science degrees. Like, when people ask you in science degrees, like third or fourth year, what are you specializing in? And it's like, passing? Like, I'm not specializing in anything yet.
I'm kind of jealous, though. You get a lot of people who arrive here at SOAS, and they're like, Africa, I'm going to do, like, South Africa, and they just do African, like, studies basically the whole way through.
Oh, have we lost her a bit? I think we might have lost her.
The first of many technical difficulties.
Yes, technical difficulties standing by. So then, last but nowhere near least, we have Florence Schechter, who you did biochemistry at the University of Birmingham, and you're also, I'm the only non-London dweller on this stream, actually.
Yeah.
Are we all in London?
And yeah, I'm the one that seems to have the most reliable internet. Oh dear. Right. Okay. So. There's too many people in London. You're all using up all the bandwidth. The tubes are getting clogged. Okay. So, the way this is going to work, we're going to be taking your questions from the chat. And for those of you who were here last time, we're going to be running a timer. Every 10 minutes, we're going to stop and do a blitz round. Each of us are going to answer a question quickly from the chat. But in between those blitz periods, we're going to sort of talk about a topic, I guess. So, if you are looking at the, if you want to submit your questions to the chat now, I guess I'll get us started and pick off the first one, and then we can talk about that for 10 minutes. So I'm waiting for the chat to catch up.
I didn't realize how many comments that are like.
Oh yeah,
it's really hard to keep up with them.
Oh my god, it's going too quickly. I can't even read it.
I've seen one a few times for me, which I can answer in a second. Do I know C++? Yes, there was a course on it at Cambridge.
Cool. That's nice to know.
Just to get that one out of the way. I've seen it like 4 times now.
Oh my god. Okay, right. So somebody asked, where's better to study, London or somewhere else in the UK? What do we think?
Ooh. I would say if you want a typical uni experience... Wait, am I, like, functional or am I really delayed?
No, yeah, I can hear.
Great. If you want a typical uni experience, don't go to London. London is like the worst place to be. It's just like being a 20-something in a city, in my opinion.
Okay. So what do you mean by that? Because we have some 20-somethings who live in the city here with you, so we can compare experiences.
I don't know. I just feel like stuff like Freshers Week just doesn't exist, and it's just a very overwhelming environment. At least at SOAS, stuff like societies were very fragmented. Your university experience is literally going in, sitting in a lecture, and then you leave university and go out to zone 2 or 3 where you live. You know, it's not. You don't really have a campus in the same way. I don't know. I think it's been very different.
I mean, none of the rest of us went to a London university. I don't think I describe my uni experience as a typical uni experience either, to be fair.
So,
Yeah, because you went to Oxford, yes. Oxford.
Yeah. Sorry, I actually didn't introduce myself. I did physics at Oxford. So we have both sides of the Oxbridge divide here. And I don't think either of us would really describe our uni experiences as typical, to be fair.
I'm probably the only person with a typical university career.
Okay, so describe a typical university experience, then, Flo. What like, how would you like summarize it?
Not going to any of my 9 a.m. lectures. Instead, going to my friend's house who lives down the road in my pajamas. There's a lot of that.
I wish
that's the big thing about London universities is everyone lives so far away. You know, someone is in Camden, someone is in Lambeth, and if you want to visit a friend, it takes like half an hour.
Yeah.
But I would walk the road, and there was my best friend.
40-minute walk.
Huh?
Have we lost her?
I think so.
I think she's still there. I'm not sure.
Welcome to the technical live streams, technical problems live stream.
While you sort this out,
I
I'm
like the
take
people
my
who are
brownies at the
Breaking news, baking news, even. I love the people who are in the comments being like, "Slow down, everyone! Like, simmer down." Okay. What else have we got? Does someone else want to pick a question? Because this is going too fast for my old brain to read.
Oh my good lord.
Oh, they're good or bad colleges at Cambridge? That's a good one, Jake.
Good and bad colleges. So I think you get told whichever college you end up at, you'll love that college. Everyone loves their own college. But I think there are still colleges which are going to be better for you based on what you want from a college and just what you're interested in, what kind of things you like in the terms of like size, location, any particular things that they offer that other colleges might not, facilities. But I don't think there are any particularly bad colleges. Having said that, I usually don't recommend open applications to colleges. Just pick one that you do like, in case, in the off chance you do get stuck in a college that doesn't totally suit you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not so much bad as varying degrees of good. Like, everywhere you go, there's a very good base level. It's just that some colleges have a better community for. So, for example, I know in Oxford, Hertford, for example, Hertford College had a great reputation for physics because there was a community of physicists every year. They had a very strong social like circle. They did events, stuff like that, which you know, you could argue. Oh yeah, someone is saying Girton, lol. I second that statement because Girton is in the middle of fucking nowhere. That's a really in joke. That's anyone who doesn't go to Oxbridge isn't going to get that. Sorry. Best university meal you've ever had or cooked?
I got really lucky. I live with two Europeans, one Swedish and one Swiss, and so they just cook great food and I just eat it. It's been lovely. Loads of fresh salad, like stuff I'd never even considered eating before uni.
Are you saying your flat was like the EU? You, the Brit, were just taking out far more than you were putting in.
Honestly, if
you stayed in your flat
SOAS and live with 4 British people, you're doing something really wrong. It's international for a reason. But no, yeah, lots of salad, lots of courgette. A girl worked in a butcher. Oh, we had some delicious meat. So yeah, it's been really, really healthy.
What about you, Flo? I'm not going to ask Jake about his cooking because we all know that Jake cannot cook to save his life.
The best university meal I ever had was probably in first year when I had my first ever Christmas meal, because I'm Jewish and I grew up never having Christmas, and then my whole flat in Halls wanted to have a big Christmas dinner before we went on the holidays, and I was like, I've never had Christmas before! That was good. I did it with kosher turkey.
What kind of turkey's not kosher? So what is kosher how it's slaughtered?
Kosher's a lot of stuff. I could spend days telling you, but it has to be like the right animal. You have to kill it in the right way. You have to cook it in the right way. You have to present it in the right way. I could talk for hours about this, but I won't.
Okay, right. Someone else pick a question. We've gone quite specialist. I feel like we should answer quite a general question.
I just want to address all the. There are lots of comments saying that I look high.
There are a lot of comments saying.
It's the caffeine tablets, isn't it?
I've only had one. But I can assure everyone I haven't just sniffed coke.
That's good. It's good to don't do drugs, kids. It's always a bad idea.
Okay, then moving on.
People are asking, what is happening? Okay.
So was that the bottle bank being emptied again outside your house?
It's totally quiet here.
That's really strange then, because it sounds like an avalanche. It sounds like like loose shale is being poured off a cliff or something.
People are asking a lot about politics in uni.
Studying it or?
No, like societies and stuff, because SOAS is super political. Like, everyone is... I've been on, like, 4 protests in the time that I've been there, and I'm, like, not politically active in SOAS.
Oh, wow, okay. So
if you're not, like, engaged. Yeah, I don't know. We're known as, like, an activist uni, though, so how does that compare to, like... I know is it Oxford that's having the Cecil Rhodes issue at the moment?
Oh, Rhodes Must Fall. Yeah, that's still ongoing. Well, actually, funnily enough, both the universities I'm associated with are very political or politicised at the moment, because Oxford's got Rhodes Must Fall, and Exeter was visited by David Cameron the other day, which in a surprise move, considering that no students are here because it's not term time, and they didn't invite. Well, they invited like a random bunch of students, not including the Conservative society. So there was a bit of an uproar about that. Although I'm very proud of my housemate who went there in a bright red top and stood right behind him. So for all the photo ops, there's just this splash of socialist, but like standing behind him.
And then Exeter has the Palestine research unit as well. I might be totally wrong about this, but I swear that Exeter has a really strong. I think Ilan Pape used to work there. I don't even know. Anyway, this is big tangents and very specific.
Well, I think generally unis are very political places to be anyway. Generally, very left-wing places to be, because unis are full of intelligent people. Dare I say that?
Whoa! I'm left-wing myself. I don't disagree.
Like unis, well, because you're young, like, and you have energy for these kind of things, maybe. But unis have always been like a hotbed of like activism, haven't they? Not just political, but
it's because it's the first time you're like living on your own. You're like, I want to be my own person, and so the first thing you do is, what are my beliefs? What are my political beliefs? My religious beliefs?
Yeah, very true.
And a lot of the time you're in a city as well, or like around a city. So there's like a lot of different culture and a lot of different new experiences, and you really get to see injustice in whatever way really up close. Maybe for the first time, especially if you're from more rural areas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I came from my background, like where I grew up was I think 98% white. So like, for example, like it was like going to Oxford. It was like, oh yeah, you remember that racism is actually still a very big active issue, and there are a lot of issues that you get shelter from when you live in the West Country that are not cattle related, that are you see for the first time. So it's,
oh yeah, definitely.
I grew up in London, and I went to university, and loads of people were like, "You know, you're the first Jew I've ever met." I was like, "What? So weird. How is that possible?"
You're only the second actually that I've like personally know. Like it's a rather small percentage of the population, isn't it? Is it like 2 or 3% of the UK population?
Oh, barely, I think even. There's only like 12 or 14 million of us in the whole world. There's more Jews in New York than there are in Israel, and there's barely any in England.
Wow, okay. But I made a mistake once where I accidentally made an Anne Frank joke in an email to someone who turned out to be Jewish, so I just learned to be extra cautious.
Or maybe just never make Anne Frank jokes.
I'd like to say it was tasteful, but in all honesty, it probably wasn't. I was saying that something was as useful as Anne Frank's drum kit, and then she replied like, "Oh, happy Hanukkah." So yeah, I've learned my lesson. Right, that's the end of the first 10 minutes. So should we each just pick a question and quickly answer it from the chat? Floyd, do you want to pick the first one? Because on my bar, you're on the left. So.
Oh God. I can't. They're all comments. They're not questions.
It is hard to pick some out. I think I've got one though that I can answer.
Okay, Jake, go.
If I can jump in here. How much coding do you recommend doing outside of the curriculum? So, for my degree, computer science at a university that really focuses on the theoretical math side of it, there wasn't a whole load of programming in the course. So doing as much as you can outside of the curriculum is a good thing, because if you're going to go into a software development job, you need the skills that you're potentially not going to pick up from the degree alone. There's nothing wrong with doing as much coding as you can fit in.
Yep. Flo, have you got one?
Yes. Someone asked, is it worth attending societies at uni given time constraints and all? So I did a science degree, which is like loads of contact hours. I'm always in lectures, always in labs. But I did tons of societies because that's where you make friends. That's where you have fun. That's where you gain skills, like transferable skills. I talked about my time as a secretary on a theatre society more in my cover letters than I have talked about my dissertation or whatever. They are so useful and loads of fun, and you get to make friends.
Yeah, that's actually something that I've noticed coming to a non-collegiate university from Oxford, is it's so much more important to do societies here. Like at Exeter, if I wasn't doing all the singing stuff that I do, I would have hardly met anyone. It's just, and it is how you make friends. And it's quite good because you actually end up in a society where obviously you have a shared interest, so you naturally have something in common with people. But yeah. So Lucy, do you want to pick a question?
The only questions directed at me are, why did you go to SOAS? Why did you pick it? Because I guess it's really different to everywhere else that's like a standard uni. I don't know, I guess. I picked SOAS because I wanted to do history, and I was so sick of the British history, which is we went there, we invaded them, we stole their things and put them in our museums. Like, that is the whole thing.
That's the four-step plan.
Yeah,
White people.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I was so bored of living like this ridiculously like closed-minded narrative of history. Anyway, yeah, that's why I'm at SOAS. Not because like anything else about the uni attracted me particularly. It's nice, but.
Okay. I'll just pick one quickly. How can you have a social life during university? Actually, no, that's probably a good one to do the discussion on. I should probably pick an easier to answer question. Oh my god, there's just so many. What do you think about IB? Personally, I have no opinion on it. I have been told that people who have I've interviewed people who have done IB before, and they say that they wish they'd done A-level instead. Equally, I've interviewed IB people who are very grateful that they did IB and say it's much better than A-level. So I think really IB and A-level are about equivalent. To be honest, you shouldn't really worry too much about the differences, between the qualifications.
I think that IB is because the UK, I don't know if it's still like this, but because the UK didn't really understand it on that level for a while, the demand on IB students was higher in order for them to get to university. Pretty much every international student or English student I know that took IB was like, yeah, we actually had to get the equivalent of 3 A stars or something a bit, yeah, it didn't add up in some way, so I guess.
So did you do IB, sorry?
Yeah, people that did IB were asked for like 38 points or something, and that didn't equate to what the A-level ask was.
Okay.
Does that make any sense? I don't know.
No, I get what you mean. The conversion rate was all off. Yeah. Okay, so I'll reset the timer. Oh, no. I've now set it to 30 minutes. 10 minutes. Go, gadget timer. Okay. So does someone want to pick a question, or if someone has identified one?
College YouTube balance. What's it like doing and going to uni?
Difficult, in a word, I'd say.
Yeah.
Well, Jake, so you probably did the most YouTubing. Well, out of the two of us, certainly at Oxbridge, you did the most YouTubing because you did it every day.
Yeah.
Every day. Oh my god, you are so impressive. What?
I didn't upload it every day. That's the less impressive part. Still uploading it now. But I filmed everything I did for 2 years, and I found it wasn't particularly difficult to do the filming because I was doing the stuff anyway. I just had to hold a camera. It was the editing I could never find time to do.
Yeah, editing.
Because of trying to revise and learn things, I couldn't waste hours every day editing all this footage.
But did you have the problem of also when you were filming, there was like an awkwardness about you doing it with your friends? Like,
Yes, yeah.
I definitely had the problem of going to formal hall and I get like 2 seconds of footage and then they would either shut me down or start making obscene gestures at the camera, which I tended not to upload.
Yeah, people complained when I vlogged. It wasn't a popular thing that I did.
Yeah, I had exactly the same experience. When I was at school, people would be like, "Oh, so do you know Jack Scapp and Casper Lee?" Like that, or like Zoella. That was their understanding of YouTube. At SOAS, where half the people English isn't their first language, people are like, "Wait, you can earn money from the internet?" Like the whole concept of YouTube is so weird. That. Like, if I was to carry a camera around uni and vlog, which I did maybe once or twice, people think that's so weird.
I get fewer weird looks in London vlogging. I can vlog around London and nobody even turns their head, but in Cambridge it was a very odd thing to do.
I found that, because I did it with my chapel choir when we went on tour to Germany, and if you're with a group of people, they get used to it after a while. Like, some people get on board with it. I think the problem is if you're just doing it in your daily life, you just get people looking at you like you're strange. You know, like walking down the street, because it is a weird thing to talk into a camera, to say, my life's so important that I'm going to document it in glorious high definition.
Yeah.
Whereas in California, no one batted an eyelid, so obviously they're a bit different over there. So I was walking down the street in San Francisco, and it looked like the most normal thing in the world for me to be talking into a camera. So maybe
I don't know about you guys. I don't know about you guys, but I find that the YouTube stuff is like my happy work as opposed to my like really demanding work. So I do it when I want a break from uni in a way, and so it makes time for itself because it's something I really want to do. It becomes the nicer side of the work that I do.
What I find more time-consuming is actually doing the community stuff, so answering questions and comments.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's really hard to keep up with.
Especially because I imagine, Jake, you're similar in that you get admissions-based questions like, I've got these GCSEs, am I going to get in?
Yes, essentially. I get that a lot.
I give a measured response to this kind.
It's both very hard to find the time to answer all of these questions and actually answer the question.
Yeah, and we're not experts. This is the thing. Most of the time I just say, refer to the official guide because I'm not an expert.
Yeah.
I know someone who actually does admissions for UCL, I think, and he was telling me that in his department, I can't remember what it was some kind of humanities, the cover letter is way more important than your results because it shows the kind of person you are. And if you have a really bad cover letter, but great results, not cover letter, I'm applying to too many jobs, personal statement, but really great results, then it's a bit meh. But if you've got an amazing personal statement, but your results are like, okay, they're more likely to like you.
Oh god, will people stop asking about my fucking GCSE results? I swear to God. The number of times. There's a video about it. It's in my Oxford FAQ. Stop asking me. I'm going to put it in Comic Sans over my next intro. Just don't ask me about my bloody GCSEs.
If it's in Comic Sans, no one will read it.
Levels and GCSEs.
What was that, sorry, Lucy?
I refuse to answer questions on my GCSEs and level results because I feel like you shouldn't compare yourselves to me. I did it at a different time to you. I did it in really different circumstances.
Yeah.
I was at a completely different school,
I got
you know?
an A star and 2 A's, and I didn't get into any universities the first time round. I had to get in the second time round.
God. That's mad.
Oh, for goodness sakes. Yeah, okay, people are answering. So someone's actually asked the same question. Nick Jameson's asked, what's your opinion on catered versus self-catered accommodation? So this is a general question for everyone.
I'd rather catered, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Oh. But is the food good? Because I've only heard bad things about the food. Like, if you want chips 5 days a week, then go for it.
That varies by college, massively.
If it's compared to my food, then it's...
Okay, wow.
Wherever you go.
I mean, my college was really good for food. Like, we had a chef who was a specialist vegetarian chef, and being veggie, that meant that, you know, like, it was great. It was different stuff every day. You could have 3 cooked meals a day. The issue was it was obviously quite expensive, and I didn't have facilities to cook for myself until I moved out in second year and then back into uni accommodation in third and fourth year. In first year, I couldn't cook for myself. I was limited by being a bit more expensive, but I still think it was a good idea to be catered in first year, to be honest. Because it removes another variable from your social equation. Like, you don't have to worry about cooking. It's just, you know, you just go and you eat, and, you know, you just have to worry about the money aspect of it outside of term time?
I much preferred self-catered actually, because it gave me practice for when I actually got graduated and had a real job, and then I didn't have to learn how to cook. I already knew what I was doing and how to do it on a budget and all of that.
Yeah, same. There was no option for us. You couldn't be catered. Let's not talk about my halls. They were the most disgusting thing you've ever seen. But yeah, it was all self-catered. And yeah, the only problem was that my housemates in first year there were two Chinese girls that were on this kind of weird foundation course, so they didn't speak English. And they would cook the weirdest shit. I don't know who else. But they at 2 in the morning, there'd be these weird pungent egg smells coming from the kitchen, and you just had to tolerate it. There was nothing you could do. So yeah, I don't know. Other people's cooking's more the problem.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Total opposite. I lived with 5 girls in 3rd year, and they were all amazing cooks, amazing bakers, and we'd eat together. Sometimes we'd make communal meals and stuff like that. So being self-catered actually meant it was really social.
Yeah, definitely in 2nd year I had the same experience. Yeah, really social catering. We'd have family meal, and we'd always drink wine in the kitchen together, so we had a really nice social space.
I kind of won the lottery in 2nd year. I ended up living with a girl who stress baked. So whenever she was whenever she got stressed, you come home and there'd be souffles or cookies. You'd be like, yes.
Sounds amazing.
It was, and I mean, I bake a bit anyway, but I generally didn't have as much time because I was terrible at time management at uni. So I floundered. Does someone else want to pick a question?
Someone has asked Lucy and Flo, did you have part-time jobs? Because I did, kind of, in a way. I had a 0 hours contract.
Oh.
No. But, okay, so there's loads of controversy about 0 hours contract. But as a student, it worked so well for me because I would only work during the holidays, and no one would mind. I could pick when I wanted to have my shift. So if I decided, I want to spend this week revising, then, I don't have to book any shifts. There's no obligation for me to book shifts. I was a healthcare assistant at a hospital, which also meant it tied really nicely into my degree. And it meant that I could live a bit more comfortably because my loan barely covered my rent, and I had nothing left over, and my parents weren't really in a position to support me. So by having this 0 hours contract where I didn't work through term time, I only worked during the holidays, it really made my life a lot less stressful.
Yeah, I did, because I'm fortunate enough that being in London, I was doing loads of stuff with YouTube and at the YouTube space, and I got loads of really strange bits of freelance work, and also YouTube sponsorships, and so it's a lot of money very infrequently, and doing weird odd jobs like being a production manager for a shoot and stuff. I did a lot of weird stuff like that, but that was all through living in London. If you wanted to work on the thing that you're passionate about throughout your degree, I really recommend being in London for that, because I had all the contacts I needed, and lots of people offered me work. So it's been really good in terms of money, if a bit unpredictable.
I think you're what's called living the dream. Is that the right phrase? That's definitely what I wish I was doing.
If the dream is spending 120 quid a month on an Oyster card, then yeah, sure thing. I'm living the dream.
Oh yeah. Oh god, I'm so glad I visited it. I love London Research sometimes because it's just so much better. I mean, it's a lot smaller, I'll grant you that, but yeah, I don't miss having to pay so much for tubes.
I had the opposite. I grew up in London, so I loved the Oyster card, and I went to Birmingham, and you had to have the exact change to put in the buses, and I was like, I don't have the exact change. I want an Oyster card.
Who's got time for that? Actually, speaking of time, that's 10 minutes, so we should do another blitz round. Does someone want to pick a question and answer it in as few words as possible?
Something that's been asked specifically to me is biochem or biomed. I want to say they're totally different courses. Read the course descriptions, because biomedicine is more like like a doctor's course, but without the learning how to be nice to people. And then biochemistry is actually going into molecular stuff. It's totally different courses. Read the course description.
Just seen a question which was, how fucked are you this is the literal words. How fucked are you if you end up at a poly? Answer is you're totally fine. Don't listen to people who are elitist about universities. It's what you make of it. It's just what you do with it. Like, if you're working throughout your degree and you're gaining experience and you're making the most of it and making connections, you're going to be absolutely fine. Honestly.
Apparently Margaret Thatcher is in the chat.
Amazing.
Margaret Thatcher is in the chat asking, is there a lot of stigma if you're privately educated? Of all the people, Maggie.
Why are like the privately educated ones worried about the stigma? I would have thought it was the people who weren't privately educated that would be worried about the privately educated ones. I don't know.
Yeah, I was certainly worried as a state-educated person going to Oxbridge and being like, oh, am I going to fit in? And of course the answer is yes, of course you do, because you're a human being and they're not monsters. And also, like, you don't realise where people go to school. I knew people from Eton, and only after like 2 years that I realised they went to Eton. They were just like regular people, funnily enough. You know, they weren't sitting on iron thrones made of cash in lectures. They're just the same as everyone else.
Okay, somebody asked Simon and Jake opinions on Durham. So Durham was my second choice uni. If I didn't make my grades for Cambridge, I would have gone to Durham. So I think it's a great uni. It's a really lovely city, well-respected uni.
Yeah, I applied there. I actually didn't go to the interview, and they still gave me a place. So I guess they have quite low standards in the physics department. No, I think they are actually quite good.
Actually.
Sorry?
I don't think I was given an interview. I just got the offer straight away.
Oh, okay, I guess it's like maybe they introduced it as a standardized thing, and it didn't actually have any impact. If I still got in without it, but yeah, it's a nice place. It's got a very nice cathedral. That's about all I remember from Durham, to be honest. I should probably pick one.
Give me 1 sec. I'm just going to turn my light on. Ooh.
Sure. How important is work experience? If you're talking about the work experience you do in year 10, not at all. Honestly, not at all. It has had negative impact on my life because I didn't do it, and not doing it had a positive impact on my Oxford application. So it had literally negative impact because I went to NASA for 2 weeks instead. Yeah, don't worry about it. If you think it's pointless, so don't stress.
I think if you've got the opportunity to do work experience, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing to do. I did work experience. It was a good chance to spend a week as a software developer in a company to see if that's kind of the career that I wanted to pursue. I found it very useful for that.
Okay, Evan Fetter has asked, I think this is a good one for discussion. Everyone, what's your favourite memory from university?
Aww.
My favourite memory was when I did jailbreak and actually got as far away as possible from university.
Where did you get to? Was it Istanbul or something?
We flew to Istanbul, then got to Ankara after that.
Oh wow, the actual capital that no one can remember.
Is travel as far as you can without spending any money on transport.
Yeah, it was such an amazing experience. It was like nothing like I'd ever done before. It was so far out of my comfort zone. But I'm so glad I did it, and I recommend to everyone, if you've got the chance to do like crazy-ish things like that at uni, go for them.
I'm having trouble thinking of mine, actually. Can someone else answer first?
I have no idea. Like, I have lots of great experiences, but not like, I don't know if they're directly associated with university. Do you know? It's like saying, what's your best experience of the last 3 years of your life? I don't know. I've liked a lot of it. It's been good.
See, I'm tempted to answer the time when I woke up and there was vomit on my floor and I had a stamp to a club that I don't remember on my arm, and I was trying to piece together the night. Because that was like, I felt like a detective, and I was like, I went to PTs? Like, that was fun. I don't know, it's actually difficult because there aren't a lot of standout moments, because a lot of my experience wasn't that positive, I don't think. A lot of my experience was a lot of drudgery and a lot of work. Maybe when I went to Germany for a conference, I presented a summer project that I did at a conference in Germany. That was pretty cool. And being able to answer a question at an academic conference, and you remind yourself, oh yeah, I do know stuff. I actually know a little bit about the world. So that was nice.
SOAS do really good parties. I think that's like...
Favorite memory.
Oh, what's happening? Am I frozen?
No, we can see.
We can hear you. Go for it, Flo.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
favorite memory was I started an a cappella group because a cappella is really popular at Birmingham because we had this band a cappella group called the Sons of Pitches who were on whatever, and like loads of people wanted to get in, but there weren't enough groups, so I started my own group for just kind of like whoever wanted to join, and we performed at the Bramall Music Theatre, which is this humongous theatre, and we weren't that good, to be honest, but it was just the fact that I got this ragtag bunch of people to sing together on stage. It just felt really nice.
What were you called? Because the most important aspect of any a cappella group is the name.
Oh God, you've got to have a good pun, am I right?
Yeah.
We were called, this was I think before Pitch Perfect, but we were called the Treble Makers.
Classic. Because I mean, I was vice president of the a cappella society here. I sung in a few a cappella groups, and you meet obviously like there's some we had like Bath has Aquapella as their a cappella group, and then like Bristol has the Bristol Suspensions and they've got the Clifton Suspension Bridge. Oxford has Out of the Blue, and then Exeter has 8 a cappella groups is the other thing. We have more a cappella groups than any other university.
Including different like genres. Like, how do you create so many different a cappella groups?
Well, so there's an all-male group, Semitoned, and they're actually touring America at the moment. And then there's 2 all-girl groups. There's the standard all-girls group. There's a jazz all-girl groups. There's the there's Harmonics, who are the classical group, who do stuff like Bruckner, and they that was how I started. And then there was the Madrigals, where I joined to get with a girl, who later became my girlfriend. So that worked out quite well. Until we didn't work out, so it didn't actually work out that well. And then there's Hoy Rhapsody, and there's 2 others which I can't remember off the top of my head. There's Illuminations, which is a mixed version of 2 of the other groups, and then there's another one which I can't remember. But yeah, it's possible, believe me. And then there's other choirs as well. There's considering Exeter doesn't have a music degree, like the music stuff here is incredible. So yeah. Anyway, I've talked for ages. Someone else talk.
I'm going to pick
So,
a Komsky question. Sorry.
What was that?
It's alright. Should we do a different question? Oh, this chat is ridiculous.
Right, I'm going to answer this one about what I recommend people do over summer before they start a computer science degree, because I get asked this a lot. How can people prepare for university to do computer science? And I think you're going to be thrown in, depending on which university you go to, particularly at Cambridge, you're going to be thrown into a lot of maths in your first year. And I struggled with a lot of that. I think it's useful to go over everything you've learnt in A-level maths or whichever thing you've done before university, and maybe read further into some of the concepts which are going to come up in your degree. You can probably find a list on the university's website of what you'll be studying. In terms of programming, I don't think which language you learn really matters. It's more useful to get your head around like object-oriented concepts and things like that, rather than stressing about any particular language. Okay. So revise what maths you learned and look at object-oriented stuff, I guess. And also just enjoy your summer. Don't stress too much before your first week of university. That's exactly what I'd advise. Starting university after having no time off because you're too worried about trying to prepare.
Also, what I'd advise for PhD, for physics, is to do maths and to chill a little bit and try and enjoy, because you will need it.
You'll not get another summer for a while where you've got nothing that you need to do.
Yeah. There's been loads of questions about personal statements. What advice would you give to people who are looking to write a good personal statement?
I can't even remember my personal statement.
Mine was a pile of wank. Mine was terrible.
Mine was really awkward because my school, I found out, were using it as like a really great example to all their sixth form students of like, here's a really great personal statement, but they totally omitted the fact that I didn't get into university the first time round, and I was like, why are you using
it? Mine was so long ago is the other problem. I realised I wrote my personal statement 8 years ago.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm old,
We're
guys.
old.
I'm basically in the grave. As I said before the stream started, I'm waiting for thesis or death at this point. Either is fine. I think, the advice I always give people when it comes to personal statements is to focus on the subject stuff. Like 3/4 of it should be based on why you're passionate about what you're applying to study, and then about 1/4 should be based on everything else and things which demonstrate qualities like time management, like studying independently. Basically, it's no good just saying something. It's no good saying, "Oh, I studied the saxophone and I'm grade 8." Like, you then say, "I studied the saxophone and I'm grade 8, and this shows that I could study independently, that I set my own curriculum, blah 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 blah." You have to include a point and then use that point to further why you're going to be the perfect student for the course. That's what I tell everyone.
Also,
my advice, I think.
Go for it.
You and me, Lucy, we keep talking at the same time. I would say put a little bit of personality into it, put a little bit of yourself into it, because admissions tutors read hundreds and hundreds of personal statements that, like, they just start skimming them, and because they're all the same, and if you just put a bit of yourself into it, it's bound to be unique because you are unique. So that's what I would.
I got told 2 things about personal statements. I think one was don't start with a quote, because everyone starts with a quote, and the other was don't say you're passionate about your subject, because admissions people are going to want to hit you in the face. And also, yeah, I think my personal statement was awful, and I got the school creative writing prize and stuff. Like, I was meant to be like one of the best at writing in my school. So just you'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine.
To also add to what I agree with Simon about your personal statement, don't say things that don't have a point. Always try to relate it to your subject, and also don't say meaningless phrases. Lots of people try to start their personal statement with, "I've always been passionate about this subject." That doesn't make sense. You weren't passionate about computer science when you were born.
I did the opposite. I actually my personal statement said, the first line was, "It would be a lie to say I always loved physics," and then carried on. I was like, well, that's got their attention.
That is such a good start.
That's fun. I like that.
It did the job.
Also, look at examples online. I spent a lot of time looking at examples online. There are lots of bad examples as well, and lots of typos, and lots of things where you'll cringe, and you'll be like, "I'm never doing that," and that's a good thing.
Yeah, the student room is very good for that kind of thing. I don't actually have a student room account, but I've lurked.
Does anyone have a student room account? I feel like most people only go on it to Google, how do I turn this part of my oven off and stuff.
Did anybody else have the experience, maybe it was just me because I'm inept, about when you first went to university and you were stood in front of the washing machine and you called your mum asking how to use the washing machine? Because I definitely did that.
I still do that now.
Yeah, you're so lucky your mum did your laundry.
I never asked her to do it. She just, just did it.
You were so lucky. My mum just expected us to do chores. The washing would just pile up, and she'd be like, "Are you gonna do something about that?"
I do it now. The thing is, I was just never asked, so I just never did it. I didn't have the push. I'm not lazy, all right? I'm honestly just not lazy. That's another 10 minutes. We should do a blitz round, so everyone submit your quick questions to the chat, and we'll pick them.
I have a good question for discussion later, which I spotted. So I'll just put it out there now, and then we do our blitz. It's how do you deal with alcohol and pressure into drinking? And I feel like that's something we could devote 10 minutes into.
I have a lot of words about that.
Okay. There's a quick one for me. Someone, I think Isla Jones, asking what made me do a PhD. 2 things. One, I was interested in what I'm doing, which is atmospheric physics, and I did this module in 3rd year, and I was looking at the maths, and I was like, this is actually really cool. I'm not bored by this. This is something that I can see the application of, and the maths is pretty cool. Also, I didn't want to have to leave from university and have, even if just barely, by less than 1/10%, even if I just, leaving with a 2.2, I was worried about my graduate prospects. So having a 59.49%, whatever it was, 2.2, I wanted to get a PhD in a way to kind of plaster that crack, and spend 3 years amending for the last year of my uni being a little bit less than optimal. So a kind of a mix of the two, practicality and passion, I guess.
I can't find a good question. There are too many.
Yeah, same. I'm thinking a lot about Cambridge.
Are you saying there's too many questions, or there are too many good questions? Because those two statements are not the same.
There are too many questions. I'm struggling to find a good one among them. Right, I've seen this a lot of times. Computer science versus software engineering. These are different subjects. I obviously chose computer science. Not everywhere is going to offer both of them. Software engineering it's a lot more just about programming. It'll teach you how to program and write code. Computer science is a lot more maths based. It'll teach you more fundamental logic about programming languages, and then like 90% of it is non-programming related stuff. And I think a computer science degree is a lot more, I'm going to say, useful, because it's not so limited in its scope. You can do a computer science degree, then you can use that knowledge to learn how to program. Learning how to program is much easier to pick up. I don't think you'd need a degree in that so much. But it depends what you prefer to look up. If you're really not interested in all the maths side of things, and you're definitely going to go into software development. Maybe software engineering is going to be a decent degree. I know people who are in the industry now who have software engineering degrees and they're totally fine. Difficult question to answer, but computer science is a lot more mathsy, basically, and doesn't focus much on actually programming.
See, when you said you were going to answer the question that loads of people have been spamming, I thought you were going to be answering the did you bake meth in Cambridge question. Can you honestly, to answer that question for Jake, can you imagine him baking anything? So no, the answer to that is no. And also the person who's asking what's the best strain of weed, the kind that grows in your garden and is easy to get rid of. Lucy, do you want to pick a question?
Literally the only thing I've seen in this whole timeline that maybe I can answer is it expensive to do stuff in London, like social things? And short answer, yes. There are lots of free cultural things you can do, but especially when it comes to going out, I would spend the money and go on really good nights out with DJs you really want to see. I wouldn't even bother paying for Piccadilly Institute and getting your feet stuck to the floor and getting really hammered. I'd just if you commit to it, see it as gigs, and it will be so much better. And go to DJ sets and commit, and then you get really excited. Yeah, I don't know. There's lots of good DJing and good clubs if you go to nights in London. Not so much generic clubbing, and it's just very overpriced. Yeah.
Or you could just stay at home and socialise with yourself, and it's much cheaper.
That's true. That is another thing.
Read books, kids. They're very cheap.
No, we just did pre-drinks and never went out.
Yeah, that's a big thing in London, definitely. The pre-drink and then you pass out at 1. That is definitely something I did do.
Flo, do you want to pick a quick question and then we can go on to the discussion about alcohol and uni?
Yeah, I'll just say someone's going gap year, and I did a gap year. I didn't want to do one, and then I was forced to do one, and it was one of the best things that ever happened. I had a full-time job for 8 months, and then I went traveling for 3.5 months, and it was amazing. It set me up for life so much better, and I would highly recommend them to just everyone should do a gap year.
My biggest regret is not doing a gap year, for sure.
I regret actually not doing one, to be honest. I know for science degrees it's kind of not recommended because you lose some of the skill, especially in maths. But I feel like you grow as a person an awful lot more. Doing university a year later, I think I would have done a lot better because I'd be much more mature as a person.
Yeah, I think you're more well equipped.
What was that? Sorry, Flo?
I did a science degree and a gap year, and it didn't matter so much because most of first year was just kind of going over A-level again with a little bit extra. So,
True.
But I have heard about maths. It's really not good to do a gap year with maths. I've heard that.
So do you want to? So this topic about balancing alcohol consumption in university then. Lucy, you said you had some words to say. What's your take on this?
Throughout uni, I realised I have a real problem with drinking. I'm not an alcoholic, but I do have real issues with drinking a lot and drinking excessively and getting myself in lots of trouble. and like losing things and being a bitch and like just being not good. And a lot of that I've realized recently was down to my social environment and who I was drinking with and how I was drinking. And now it's so...
Oh, I think she's frozen.
It's so what? It's so what?
You have to know.
It's totally normal to feel like you have a drinking problem at uni. You probably don't. And maybe you do, but that's all right. Everyone else, what do you think? How do you balance uni, social life, alcohol?
So I'm still recovering from the heart attack that you lost you halfway through, and the anticipation was killing me.
Oh no! Did I cut out?
Well, you said something was so, and we never found out what it was. So.
I don't know where. No.
Oh, Jake! Jake! Someone says that she's frozen. Can we get that Photoshop? Photoshop of Jake photoshopped as Elsa back from the depths of Twitter.
Oh,
that does exist.
I my time hop the other day because it was.
What do you mean your channel?
So I found there were some great rules that if I followed, because I mean I had a few times when I was like blackout drunk and it's not really that fun. So one is if you don't want to drink at all, but you're worried about your friends pressuring you, get things like Coke, because that way no one knows whether it has vodka in or it doesn't, and no one's going to ask because that's weird. Also,
I didn't
alternate your drinks.
Coke. I thought you meant Coke. And I was like, that's my life.
Just get high instead. Welcome to Wholesome Advice with university students.
Quick tip, don't mix drugs with alcohol, it never ends well.
Also,
yeah, the other tip...
Eat beforehand. The saying, at least in my college, was eating is cheating, but it's not. It's eat something that's got a lot of carbs in beforehand.
Oh, yeah, line your stomach.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Also, alternate drinks. So, like, have a glass of wine, then have a Coke, or have a beer, then have lemonade, or whatever. And also, no more than 1 an hour. Because it takes your liver. Here's a little science fact for you. It takes your liver 1 hour to process 1 unit of alcohol. So, if you have 1 unit of alcohol every hour, you'll be able to keep up that buzz without going over the edge.
Is that the definition of 1 unit?
Oh, I don't know if it's the definition. I feel like it's got something to do with the alcohol content. You know, like 14%.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing.
Okay.
That's really interesting. I never knew that.
I mean, I think there seems to be a particular problem in sports societies, like rugby lods and rowing boat club lods and football lods. Like they have a culture of drinking, and I think if you're not in that kind of environment, it's very easy to not be dragged into drinking unless you want to. I mean, certainly, like when it comes to choir stuff, I don't feel obliged to drink at social events. Probably because it's a University of Exeter Anglican chapel choir. But like compared to the rugby team, obviously that's pretty tame. If you do happen to join yourself in one of those football teams, I think it's always it's important to stress that you always have personal agency. You can always choose to say no. And you can alternate and do all the tricks to make sure that you don't get blackout drunk. Because yeah, as Flo says, I have been blackout drunk. It's not terribly fun because you question what on earth you did during that time, and it can be very worrying, especially when you don't remember how you got home.
Or if you get home at all.
Oh really? Have you woken up somewhere and you don't know where you were?
I've woken up in other people's beds, shall we say?
Ooh. I've never had that. I had a friend who got blackout drunk and woke up to paint the picture. So this was at Oxford. She woke up in this darkened room, and it was like wood panelled, and like there was like a very faint light, and she managed to pick out like Latin phrases everywhere. And she was like, "What the hell am I?" And then she worked out that she was in a different college's common room for professors. She'd somehow woken up in this place and was like, "Wait, what? How do I even get in here?" But yeah, it's not fun to do that. It's as much as we joke about it, you should always be aware of yourself and know your limits. And sometimes it does take one time to know where your limits are, and you know not to do 10 shots of Sambuca in a row. Then maybe that's a good thing to set your limits. But you should always be aware of what you're doing, know where you are, and always know that you can say no. I guess that's the important thing.
Yeah.
And don't
If
get so drunk that when you go home, you're seeing the commuters go to work. That for me was like the worst feeling of all.
And if you have a friend who's saying, you know, you have to drink, they're not a friend. If anyone is pressuring you into drinking, like, ditch them. They're just so not worth it. That's toxic.
Yeah.
Honestly,
The people that mind don't matter, and the people that matter don't mind.
Honestly, though, I think that if you are trying to cut down on alcohol at uni, it is like the worst environment to do it, because I don't think anyone understood for me. Like, no one got it. They were like, well, why can't you just have one drink? Why can't you just have one? Like, why can't you just control what you're doing? And it's like, well, I
didn't drink. So it is possible. Possibly it depends which university you go to. But I saw plenty of people at Cambridge who just never drank alcohol, and they didn't find it to be a problem for them. They could easily get through social events and just everyday life without being pressured into drinking. And like you were saying, Simon, if you join like a rugby club, you're probably going to be put into quite a different environment to just being at university normally, and then it becomes a bit more difficult to avoid drinking, I admit. But I still think it's possible, and I also think if you are going to drink but you're worried about getting too drunk and causing yourself problems that way, university is usually quite a safe environment to get drunk in. Like, you're going to be surrounded by other people who are hopefully your friends, and even if they don't know you, people will be there to look after you.
Yeah, that's the other point, is that there will be campus services. Like, Exeter has campus services that you can call and they will pick you up. You know, Oxbridge colleges have their porters that do the same thing.
Yeah, and there's always like the university medical centres, and they know how much students drink, so you can go to them like without judgment and say, you know, I think I need to cut down drinking. Can you give me any advice? And like they deal with this kind of thing all the time.
So actually, a tied-in issue with this, Charlotte Grace has asked this in the chat. Someone has asked, so she has asked, is rape prevalent in UK universities? Now, from personal experience, I'm going to say no. Is that an issue that you guys, anyone else thinks is something that people should be concerned about going to university and drinking?
I think rape's prevalent in our society. Like, I think I'm writing my whole dissertation on gendered violence, and I'm just starting to realise like sexual assault is everywhere, and it sucks. And obviously, because of the culture of alcohol and putting a lot of people in a place where you don't necessarily have a connection with each other, or like a specific connection, and you're meeting lots of people, yeah, maybe it's more prevalent. But yeah, such as life.
But it is. You say it's everywhere. I mean, the point is, it's not like everybody who goes to university is going to get raped. It is still a very rare event. It's just not. It's a very significant rare event. It's not something that we should just dismiss as never happening. But it's not to say that you when you go to university.
Oh, we lost the end of that, Simon.
Oh, sorry. I'm saying, should you be worried about it when you go to university?
I think it's different for a lady, like for a female person, compared to a male person. Definitely, like it's a very different experience. I mean. This is suddenly going to get very personal. I was never raped, but there were definitely situations in which I was very uncomfortable, especially when you're around drunk people, especially when you're around young people who might not have the kind of the same experiences, and not necessarily rape, but like things like sexual assault, inappropriate groping, harassment. That happens like a fair amount, but there's, oh God, this is so horrible.
It is. I mean, and it's. I can understand why people are asking this, but.
It's common as a young woman in England, and not common, but like if you've experienced catcalling, you're probably not likely to, but you as a woman might experience sexual assault, whether you go to uni or not. Like, it's just something that occurs, and it sucks. But
I mean, there are things you can obviously do to limit. If you're worried about it, then doing things like not getting blackout drunk is obviously a very good thing to do. Making sure that you're with people at all times. You don't walk home alone. Even if you're just on the phone to somebody when you're walking home, that can be a powerful deterrent to people. And also, if it does happen to you, then universities do have these support structures. I mean, in Exeter, we have the wellbeing services, which deal with these mental health issues and survivors of sexual assault and things like that.
Universities are really good for mental health issues and having the support networks in place to help you. So if there's anything going on find out where your well-being place is and go, because they've got loads of resources, loads of ways to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do think the universities aren't doing enough for mental health, and I'd actually quite like to do a video about that, because it's something that I've struggled with in the past at university. I think that Oxbridge, in particular, maybe needs to do more. But yeah, the support available is fantastic. It's a very serious issue. A lot of people are saying we've gone very deep, but this is something that, you know, if you're going to university, especially if you're leaving home and you're leaving what you consider your personal security, that it is something you're going to be worried about. So I can understand the question.
And I think depression is more common in students than in the general population. And students, like, you know, with stress, and it's the first time you're away from home, and exams, and there's so much pressure on you, your mental health takes a much bigger toll than you did at secondary school.
Yeah, it sucks, everyone. Mental health is an important thing. Take care of yourself, and you know, be safe, please.
On that note, that really positive note, I have to leave. But
Yay!
yeah, I've got a friend date that I have to go and meet. But this has been lovely. Thanks so much for having me. I've really enjoyed it, and I hope.
Thank you for being here. It was absolute pleasure to have you, Lucy.
Yeah, it's been lovely. All right, bye guys.
Bye.
Bye, Lucy.
God, she was horrible, wasn't she? I can't believe we got my God. Of course, I don't mean that, chat. Don't explode at me. Fortunately, it's time for a blitz round.
Gosh.
So if you want to put your questions in the chat.
I can never find a question.
I'm going to steal the one that's been asked loads. People ask about EPQ. Just a lot of people just saying EPQ. The answer is EPQ.
Just 3 letters.
Yes, I did an EPQ. I think it was brilliant. It helped my application an awful lot. It gave me something to talk about in my interview. I did mine on manned missions to Mars. It is on the internet. If you search for like Simon Clark extended project, you'll find it. It's terrible. I managed to get full marks somehow, but it's terrible. And yeah, I genuinely think it's a fantastic thing to do. It demonstrates you're passionate about your subject. It's something to put in your personal statement, something to talk about in your Oxbridge interviews. If you can, do it. If there's someone who's saying, what the fuck is EPQ? It's extended project qualification, and it's the best thing you'll do at sixth form. So, you two, question, answer.
I'm going to talk about time management. It massively depends on what course you're doing and how many contact hours you have. But I found that sort of planning my day so that most of the things were done by the time I wanted to socialise at like 7 p.m. Then I didn't have to worry about anything. But if I did have to worry about anything, then like I would do it at 2 a.m. Basically, time management and like balancing, you know, your lectures and your study and your social life is just plan ahead. Like even if it's just 1 day ahead, it helps so much.
Jake, no pressure.
I'm going to answer the one I've seen a few times. Charlotte Grace is asking, why didn't I do a master's? Because I spent 3 years at university, I wanted to change. And I didn't think doing a master's was really going to improve my chances of getting a job. It wasn't going to add much value to my undergrad degree.
It's an academic qualification, mostly, to be fair. Like it's not something you take to increase your employability. Is that fair?
I think we've lost you a little bit there, Simon.
Oh, am I back now?
Yes.
Oh, a bit. You're very pixelated.
My pixely. That's probably good. If I'm soft focused, I'll just rub some Vaseline on my lens and it'll make me all soft focused. I was just saying it's quite an academic qualification, really. Like masters generally, they don't necessarily improve your employment prospects. At least in the sciences. I don't know if I can't say that for the humanities necessarily.
Yeah.
Right. So what I think we'll probably do 2 more rounds of. I said that we'd run for an hour and a half. Does that sound okay to everyone?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do another 2 rounds of blitzes after that one. Does someone want to pick a question? There are loads of them.
Oh gosh, they're coming in so fast.
Vaseline for wanking. Bad idea.
Get real lube. It's so cheap. And
It
like
really is.
Yeah, the people who do at the checkout, like they don't even look at what you're buying. Buy all the condoms, buy all the sanitary towels. They don't even care. They're getting paid minimum wage.
Well, buy them on Amazon. Buy like industrial quantities of lube, and no one judges you for it.
Hey, like seriously, guys. Like, okay, so this is about to get very personal, but I bought my vibrator online, in like an unmarked package, and no one knows what it's inside, and so you can just go to your bedroom and open it. Totally.
I'm loving.
Discreet.
So it doesn't come in like a massive cock-shaped package, like a veiny, cardboard package.
Even the return address is not something that people could figure out what
13-inch dildos, Sheffield. Yeah, it's not. It's just dildos, like, incidentally. That's a new. Oh no, what was it? There was a fantastic word I learnt the other day. Teledildonics is an actual word, which means it's sex toys that act.
What does that even mean?
As in, like they're like paired devices. So like you have one, your partner has one, you activate it, and then your partner feels it. And that's called teledildonics. And I tweeted that word because I love learning new words, and I got followed by a whole bunch of new accounts.
Oh wow! I went to the Science Museum late the other day.
What was that? Sorry, Flo?
Oh, I went to the Science Museum late, and it was all about sexuality, and they had a remote-controlled vibrator. So there was this lady in Phoenix who was like controlling the vibrator in London. It was so cool.
That sounds really bad because the time difference. I mean, you're just bored for like 8 hours at a time, and then all of a sudden, like, whoa!
No, it's via Bluetooth or something. You don't have to wait for like if I do it 10 a.m. here, it's 10 a.m. in Phoenix.
Oh, I see. Sorry. Yes, as people are saying, this is meant to be a university Q&A, it's a family-friendly show. My mum is next to me. I am so sorry, Tapper. That's awkward. Sorry about that. Should we pick a question?
I'm not happy with this conversation.
Right, let's just pick one.
Religion at university? That's something I could talk about for a long
I could
time.
talk about that a bit, yeah?
Yeah?
Flo, you go.
Okay, so, hey guys, I'm Jewish, if that wasn't already obvious by my surname. So I went to Birmingham, which has a really big Jewish society, but my sister went to Sheffield, which has a really tiny Jewish society, and our experiences were totally different, because when I went to this really big Jewish society, it was like, oh gosh, it's so big, everyone's already friends, and I never really connected with them. But my sister went to this tiny one where there's only like 50 people, and she made friends with everyone, and she was much more involved. But there was like no friction, as you might expect with, for example, the Islamic Society. We ran loads of interfaith events, and even at Birmingham there's this great thing where once a year they'd have a big marquee, and every single religious society would have a little stall, and anyone could go and talk to them. So it's like, actually, university is a really inclusive place for religions and stuff. Like, everyone's connecting, because everyone's kind of, like we said before, everyone's quite left-wing. So everyone's just like really nice and sharing and caring. I got lots of free samosas.
No, I definitely agree with that. I mean, so so would you say that religion is an important part of your life, or part of your university life?
It's an important part of my heritage, but I don't practice it as much. And as part of my university life, like, it didn't really come out as much, except when people who'd never met Jews before were like, so do you all talk like Woody Allen, or like, how does it work?
Do you write great comedy scripts? Like Goldberg and Spielberg and all that lot?
Yeah.
I mean,
I was actually like the only Jew in comedy society. It was weird.
Sorry. Did they look to you as like a natural leader? Like, oh, finally. No, what was I going to say? I mean, I'm not personally religious. I talked about this in videos before. You can look it up. But I sing in the University of Exeter chapel choir. So in a way, religion has formed quite a big part of what I do here at Exeter. So I sing twice a week, 1 to 2 times a week here. And to a man, every person who I've met via the chapel choir stuff, via the religious stuff, has been lovely. As you say, religion it's fantastically inclusive at university. I don't think anyone should feel ashamed of their religion at all. It's not something that you should hide at university. In fact, you should embrace and like be part of those societies and meet other people and get involved in those interfaith events. Because honestly, like, I even as a non-religious person, I've taken a lot of worth out of what I've done, even if what I've done is basically just singing. It's not some in terms of religion at university. Yeah, go ahead, be religious. Embrace what you believe in, and because university is the best time to do that in anything.
Absolutely. You'll find people are a lot more interested than you think. Like I talk so long at like pubs about what kosher is, about all this and all that. People just want to know. Like people are way more friendly than you'd expect.
People asking me to sing, I am not going to sing. But you can buy the University of Exeter Chapel Choir CD that's coming out. I have a massive, massive solo in it, which I have been told is the best track on the CD by my mother. And it's going to be great. So that'll be hopefully featured on my channel. Actually, I might be singing on my channel quite soon anyway, doing a bit of something. So watch this space. Anyway, Jake, you've been quiet, so you should pick something.
What is it like paying back student loans? So I'm now paying my student loan back, and I don't really notice it. It's automatically taken out of my salary. It's just like tax.
Yeah, I pay my student. Oh, yeah, living it up on the PhD.
I've got $1 bill.
How much funding do you get?
I have a single $1 bill. That's how much money I get. This is going to last me 3.5 years. No, I get a modest income that just about covers my rent and outrageous Fabergé egg habit and food.
Yeah, I'm paying my student loan at the moment as well. And because Britain is so much better than America when it comes to these things, you only ever pay proportional to how much you're earning. So like you barely notice it. When I first graduated from university, and I got my first job, I was paying like £3 a week towards my student loan or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not paying back at all, I should point out, because I'm still doing uni, I'm not paying at all. I actually have a letter from the lovely student loans corporate company waiting in my bag, because they still require me to prove that I'm in education every, like, 6 months, which is really annoying. It's like, can you not tell by the fact that I'm not paying you? I have no money, that I'm not in further education. Okay, so someone else has asked about balancing a social life at university. I feel like we've dodged that question for a while. We should probably talk about balancing social life and work life, even though that's quite a big topic.
It's certainly possible.
How to balance your social life.
Yeah.
I struggled with this at first in first year, to balance anything other than work. I guess it's a skill to try to learn and improve.
It's definitely something that I sucked at. I didn't get it right at all in Oxford. In third year, I got the closest to getting it right, but even then, I was working far too much. When you're stumbling home at like 11 o'clock at night because you've been working all day in the library and you're barely on your feet, like you're not balancing your work-life balance. Like here at Exeter, it's much better. I basically just work 9 to 5 or 9 to 6. That's great, and I do social stuff afterwards and I sing and whatnot. But I never got it at undergrad.
I feel like such a slacker in comparison to you. I think I balanced it quite well, maybe slightly erring too much on the social and society side. But like as long as you go to all your lectures and you do the work that's required, like it's totally fine. Oh no, I didn't. I had a friend who recorded all the lectures, so if I couldn't go to one, I was sleeping. Then I got the recording of her.
Well, how often did you have 9 o'clock lectures? Because you said you skipped them, but like, how often were you supposed to be there?
Oh god, science degrees are the worst for 9 a.m. lectures. I probably had them like 3 times a week. It was horrible.
I had them every times a week.
Yeah, I had them every day in first year. Every day, 9 o'clock.
Monday, no, Saturday, 9 o'clock lectures.
I didn't have to do Saturday ones. I'm very grateful that I didn't have to do Saturday lectures. Although I was in Cambridge. I was in Cambridge half the time because I had a long distance relationship at the time. So I was leaving the bubble and then entering another bubble.
Somebody was asked earlier actually about relationships while at university and whether you can maintain that, and maybe that ties into maintaining a social life. Trying to keep up a relationship. So, and I also had a long distance relationship in first year, and it takes up a lot of time. I did it. It's possible if you want to.
I mean, I talked to my ex about this actually not too long ago, and we both agreed that it was a mistake actually to go to university and stay in the relationship. Like we both enjoyed the relationship, we both got a lot out of it. We don't regret being in a relationship, but we both think that it would have been better to have done our own thing at university. Yes, it was a lot of time because it was 3.5 hours to get from Oxford to Cambridge each way. And we'd see each other every week, which was too much anyway. We didn't have enough of a social life on our own. I'm gonna be the bad guy and say yes. I don't think you should take a relationship from sixth form to university if you're not at the same university. I think if you're at the same uni, it's a little bit different. But I'm gonna like go out there and say, yeah, if you're planning on keeping a relationship going into unis, and yes, I know people that have managed to make it work, and there are exceptions to this rule. And I'm very glad that there are exceptions to this rule because I believe in love. But I think generally it's a bad idea.
This is awkward. I never had a proper relationship at university. I was too busy doing other stuff.
You were too busy ordering your dildos that came in cardboard packages.
Yeah, no. The dating scene at university is totally different to like school or like adult life when you graduate. It's really weird. I don't know.
I mean, I've never really done the dating thing in that I had a year at Oxford when I was single, but I wasn't really dating because I was worried about work. I came to Exeter and then I ended up dating somebody within a week, and then I was single for like a couple of months, and then a girl who I'd known for a long time who is my current beautiful girlfriend, very, very much because she's in Spain at the moment. We knew each other, so we didn't date. Like, I've never really done Tinder or Grindr or any of that nonsense. Ooh.
We lost you. We were getting only like every other word, Simon.
Oh no! What was the last thing you heard?
That you didn't do Grindr.
Oh yes, I didn't do Grindr. I didn't do Tinder or Grindr or any of that nonsense. I know it's Grindr, but it makes so much more sense if it's Tinder and Grindr because it's symmetry. It rhymes.
I found at university people just ended up dating their friends, and like you got these really incestuous friends group where like everyone dated everyone. But I think that was mostly like the theatre societies because we spent so much time together.
It's the same in choirs. There is a chapel choir incest map somewhere, I think, where all these people who have dated each other, and it gets complicated.
Maybe we should move on. Someone asked, what's Freshers Week like? Maybe we could talk about that.
Freshers Week is whatever you make of it, I think. You
I
are
found
thrust.
quite disappointed.
Okay. Oh, how so?
Because at Cambridge, Freshers Week is like 4 days, and it's the stuff that's it differs between colleges. It's difficult to give a generic explanation about what Freshers Week is like, but you can't really enjoy it for that long because a lot of the time is taken up in talks about how to manage your workload at university and talks about fire safety and really boring things like that, and things which just kind of stress me out a little bit instead of enjoying and settling in my first week. And then so that started on like Sunday, and by Thursday the next week we had lectures from 9 o'clock. So,
that is totally and utterly different to my Freshers Week. I think I had like one talk and that was it.
I experienced. And I think I actually enjoyed Freshers Week more in second and third year because
refreshers
more then. Yes. And I could then, I knew the place, I could do my own thing, and I could have a more typical Freshers Week experience by that point.
Yeah. I mean, I got given work in Freshers Week. I had a problem suit to do by the end of the week, which is welcome to Oxford. Yeah, that was fun. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was because for me, as well, being in a relationship, it was like a week apart, and that was an important step as well. And somebody was asked, or with flat friends, and for me it was people on my corridor. I remember very clearly doing wheelbarrow shots with a man I'd met like 12 hours before, which was great fun. I really enjoyed parts of Freshers Week. It was just the work where I was like, what the hell? What does this integral mean? That I didn't enjoy so much.
I found that the friends that I made during Freshers Week weren't actually the friends I ended up sticking with. They were just people that I happened to hang out with while we were going clubbing because they lived in my halls or whatever. And the friends that have actually lasted, and like I still see now that I've graduated, were people I made at societies.
Yeah.
I had exactly the same experience. I met lots of people and made friends in Freshers Week, but a few weeks later everything changes.
Friends of convenience, like soldiers of fortune. We'll do one more blitz round, shall we? And then shall we wrap up?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I just
So,
need to find
if you want to submit your questions, we've got a bit of a lag between us and the chat because my internet in Exeter is terrible and has rubbish bandwidth. So we'll wait for the chat to catch up. But if you want to spam us with your questions, we'll pick one each and then we'll wrap things off. Ben Claridge, what am I doing after my PhD? Don't know quite yet. The options are either carrying on to do a postdoc, which is something I'm considering doing, but I don't think I'm clever enough. So what I'm currently looking at doing is going into media stuff and video making full-time, and doing both my channel stuff. So I'm starting a lot of things that I want to carry forward and do and be sponsored for in the future. That's an avenue, as well as being paid to do video commissions for other people. So I have been paid to make videos for various people in the past, and it's something that I'd be interested in doing. Or I might just get a boring desk job in London and like join the graduate migration from everywhere else in the country to London for a few years. But ultimately what I want to do is, the thing I'm passionate about is media stuff. So that's what I want to do anyway.
Oh my god, you should make a TV show with me.
Sold! What's it going to be? What's our TV show going to be about?
Oh god. We could do horrible physics. Guys, by the way, I have a project in the works at the moment. It's called Horrible Animals. It's like horrible histories, but with animals. So we could just keep making science spin-offs. More science.
Okay. Well, I could act in your science spin-off, perhaps. Like, you know how Horrible History has like its stock actors. I can be part of the cast for that. Done.
Oh.
Sold. I'll sign on the line.
Bam.
Jake, do you want to put a question?
So I have been asked a question by Lee, who is someone I work with now at Gray's.
Ooh.
How have you found the transition from uni to work?
Great, thank you very much.
Relevant question, I guess. I found it quite strange. I found it harder than I expected, actually, to go from university life into working a full-time job. My first few weeks at Gray's and working 9 to 6 in an office felt like an eternity that I was sitting at that desk. They were very long days, and so that took a lot of getting used to. And also the idea that I've gone from Cambridge, where there was always work to do, even like a Saturday, Sunday, I had work I could do, to now, once it gets to 6 p.m, I can leave work. I don't have to worry about it anymore, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's an unusual thing to get home and think, well, what do I do now? And try to give myself some purpose in life outside of work. It sounded nice at first, but it did take some adjusting to. I think I've managed to adjust now, but it wasn't a trivial change to go into a full-time job.
I actually found the same thing going to a PhD, funnily enough. Like going and like working for a set period of time, and then I had an office for one thing. It's like you leave the office and then you go home, and it's like, what do I do now? Like, this is normally where I'd work. So
yes.
I just started going to the gym because I was like, well, what else am I going to do? Like, I need to start a hobby. So
yeah, I found a lot of months I would just end up wasting my time in the evenings and not really do anything, and it didn't make me feel like I was being productive, or it didn't make me feel good that I was getting home and I was just wasting this free time that I had all of a sudden. So I'm making more of an effort now to do something productive in my time outside of work, and not think of it as free time where I can just lie about the house and do nothing, and try to stick to this idea that I'd learnt at uni, that I can, even though it's a weekend, I can still get things done and still improve myself or whatever. And I prefer it that way.
Flo, do you want to pick your question?
There aren't really any relevant to me. Does anyone have one they want to post really quickly?
There's someone who's a tapper has been asking tips on starting YouTube. I guess that's relevant to all of us.
Oh god, starting YouTube. Have something interesting to talk about, unless worry less about the production values of, like, you know, whether you have a good camera or whatever, because no one really cares if you have a great camera. They care more about what the video is and what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't worry if you think your niche is too small. There is no such thing as a niche that is too small on YouTube. For goodness sake, there's a channel that's incredibly popular about hydraulic presses crushing things. Like, that is about as niche as you can get. I actually wrote a blog post about this for the EGU, which is a conference I'm going to in Vienna in a few weeks. But I wrote a blog post about starting vlogging, which is on my Twitter and Facebook, if you want to read that. That has some tips about, which is basically, don't worry about your niche. Make sure you, if you're worried about your production quality, get your audio sorted first, then your video sorted. And just make stuff is the best piece of advice I can give. If you want to make videos, the best piece of advice is to make videos, because the first 50 you make are going to be terrible. So get them out of the way. Just get creating. You know, it's a rule for everyone. The first time you, what is it? Sucking at something is the first step at not sucking at something. So you've got to be bad at something before you can get good at it. So, you know, just make videos.
Agreed.
Make sure you enjoy it as well.
Yeah. No point in doing it if you don't enjoy it. Right, with that, do you guys have anything you'd like to say as parting shots to the... God, we've had like 500 people watching this, I've just realised.
It's been incredible.
This has definitely been... hopefully, what I'd like to do is do this again the same time we did this last year, so before people go off to freshers. Because I think these are mostly the questions we've mostly been dealing with are quite general uni questions, and I think maybe just before people go to university we'll get more freshers-specific questions. So it'd be great to do this again if you guys would like to come back.
Yeah.
Of course.
Because I love doing live streams. I'm going to everyone in the chat. It's amazing to see so many of you, and I'd love to do these more often. Like I want to do these every month, every 6 weeks. I have loads of free time because I'm a student. Obviously, people like Jake have got jobs and real life responsibilities to balance around. But yeah, this has been an awful lot of fun. I love doing live streams. You guys in the chat are amazing, even if you do keep asking about meth.
My parting words: I'm gonna catch up with my vlogs.
Oh, I just dropped my sweet.
What?
Sorry, you were saying, Flo?
Would be, but we didn't manage to get to answer it. Then you can get it to us or message on YouTube or whatever.
I'm going to fill in what I assume Flo was saying there, which is that if we didn't answer your question, you can tweet us. We are at Florence Schechter. Is that right?
Wait, the link in the description of this video is broken. So just
sorry.
Florence Schechter or something.
Yeah, I'll update that.
Okay.
We're at Jake Wright UK and at Simon Oxfizz. So I'm very sorry if I didn't answer your question, but like I said, there's like 500 of you, so it's been a bit overwhelming. So please do feel free to keep asking your questions. We're gonna drop off being live now. Yeah, you can always ask your question in the next live stream, or tweet us, or Facebook us, or Instagram us. Does anyone have Snapchat?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can follow Jake on Snapchat. You can follow me on Goodreads. You can follow, I don't know, what other social networks are there?
Instagram.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram as well. You can follow Jake on Pornhub. There's a whole bunch.
No, you cannot.
Oh, it's been one of those streams, hasn't it? My God. Right. Thank you very much.
I'm so sorry to whoever's mother was watching.
Oh, my mum's probably going to watch this. Christ. Anyway, thank you very much to the two of you for being here. Thank you to the chat, and we will see you, well, when we next upload, I guess, which, it's going to be a while for me, and I guess it's going to be a while for each of us, actually.
4:30 next Friday.
4:30 next Friday. So we'll see you next Friday. Thank you very much for being here, guys. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.